It'll still work if it's dried, or if you use an ointment, it'll work fantastic, and it will draw out any poison or venom. Dr. Christopher used this all the time when he would have kids who'd stepped on rusty nails or gotten a cut on their foot on the beach from a seashell. Those were a couple of his actual cases, and the kid got tetanus and was seizing up like that, and he was completely into lockjaw. So Dr. Christopher would give him a dropper full of lobelia tincture, lobelia inflata tincture made with vinegar. And that's different from most tinctures that are made with alcohol, but lobelia just extracts better in vinegar. And that would relax the muscles of the jaw. And the child said, well, gosh, that feels so good. What did you do? He said, I just released your lockjaw, so what happened? And to Dr. Christopher, this is just normal, everyday business, nothing extraordinary going on here. And he said, well, I was running and I cut my foot on I think it was on a seashell on the beach when I was playing with my friends. And so he looked at his foot, and sure enough, there was a big infected wound there. So Dr. Christopher took out his jar of plantain ointment, took both fingers, scooped out about half the jar, and put a big mound of it on top of the wound. And then he packed up his first aid kit and went for the door, and the mother said, wait a minute, why are you leaving? Isn't there more to do? Don't you have to do something else for him? Dr. Christopher says, nope, nothing else needed. He'll be fine. Give it an hour or so. He'll be right as rain. And the mother was like, what? Excuse me? Don't you have to do surgery or give him an IV? No, nothing. None of that's necessary. Just the plantain. And sure enough, in an hour, the child was up running around with his friends playing in the backyard, and he was completely fine. So even this bacterial infection of tetanus, plantain will draw that out. They've actually found that tetanus shots are not all that effective, and that the thing that cured tetanus was the invention of the automobile. Believe it or not. Henry Ford cured more tetanus cases than any doctor, or I should say prevented. Or even the inventor of the vaccine, or the manufacturer. Henry Ford is the guy we credit for getting rid of tetanus. Why? Because what would cause most cases of tetanus is children running through the cobblestone streets barefoot, cutting their feet, getting these little tiny cuts all over their feet. And they didn't pick up the horse manure from the streets in those days. Now, if you go to a parade, you see someone following right behind the horse with something to scoop it up in a trash can, or they have these little kind of a hammock that hangs under the horse's rear end and catches everything as it comes down, because they know now about the importance of keeping fresh manure away from people's feet and from actually the other parts of their body as well. You don't want to get that in you. Use it in your compost in your garden, but definitely don't put it on a cut or a poke or any sort of thing like that. So these kids would get infected cuts on their feet from running through the cobblestone streets with all the horse manure around, and that would cause them to get tetanus. And it was very common a couple of 100 years ago. Now, not so much. You barely hear about it. A lot of doctors who even specialize in things where they should be encountering this will go their entire practice without ever seeing a single case. So it's pretty rare now. But every once in a while it does happen. And since we can't credit the vaccine for protecting people, and you can still get it if you're vaccinated, by the way, it's not that good a protection. So I actually don't get shots. I found a much better way of keeping myself healthy. But the plantain, if you step on a rusty nail or cut your foot, first of all, I would probably use cayenne pepper to stop the bleeding. Then lots of plantain or body glue is another great formula. It also goes under the name anti-infection tincture or X-Septic. That's the letter X, septic. You can get it from the herb shop, or you can make it yourself. Get my ebook, chrislewismh.com. So, plantain. I was actually camping a few years ago with my family, and I looked down. I was wearing sandals. I felt this little tickle on my toe. I thought, oh, that's odd. I wonder if there's an ant down there or something. And I looked down, and there was a wasp just standing on my toe, and it was dancing around. I think it was having convulsions or something. And I think it was probably dying either from old age, or maybe it had been attacked by another insect or something. and either that or I was just really unhappy, and it struggled around on my toe for a couple of seconds, and then it stung me. And before I could gently help it off my toe, it stung. And if something's gonna sting me, all bets are off. I'm usually very, very pacifist when it comes to insects. I won't kill anything except maybe mosquitoes. Those I don't have a lot of